Today we are going to start plastic. I have already given you the plastics that are used for packaging in the group, in the WhatsApp group, but we need to discuss a bit about the advantages and disadvantages of plastic as packaging material. So, following the same path, we will just have a small discussion on what are the advantages and disadvantages of plastic as packaging material, and I would request you to participate. So we have advantages and we have disadvantages. So let's quickly discuss what are the different advantages and disadvantages. So can you tell me any advantage of that plastic as packaging material? Yeah, so we call it is called versatility. Okay, that means you can actually make different kind of shapes according to your need. Basically, like rigid packaging. I will come. What is? Do you have any idea what is meant by rigid packaging and what is meant by flexible packaging? Any idea or any guess if you have? Correct, correct. But your examples are not exactly fine. Okay, the rigid. Actually, a bottle is also a rigid packaging because bottle has a shape of bottle. Okay, and means you can crush it, but basically you have to form it. It is formed in a rigid formation. That means the shape is a rigid shape. Okay, but in flexible packaging, example, maybe your sachets. Say you buy that spices, shampoo, then that small 2 rupees wala, that sauce and all these things you buy in a small sachets. Those are called flexible packagings because those don't have a fixed shape. Okay, uh, you can just like press it to bring the product outside. Okay, but that does not mean a toothpaste packaging, the toothpaste tube that you get, that is an example of flexible packaging always. Okay, so rigid packaging is majorly the bottles, the tanks, means which is having a fixed shape and which is formed by molds. Okay, they are not formed from the films, because plastic is basically whatever packaging you see, there can be two sourcing material. One is the film of the plastic, that is the plastic films, that is the generally the poly bags that you see, or maybe that small whatever I already said, that sachet, or the small kind of pouches. Those things are basically the outcome of plastic films. But if you think of a bottle or maybe a tank or maybe a box or jar made of plastic, that is not made out of plastic films. Okay, so that is why those are the rigid packaging. So flexible packagings are basically done from films. Okay, and rigid packaging is done using the molds. Okay, there are different molds, and on that you can use them. Okay, so that is the important thing, as you already told, that it is the plastic is having a very high versatility. Like you can create any kind of mold. Say I want to make a shape like this. So I can create a bottle and I can create a mold of this shape and I can give plastic that particular shape. But for paper, first of all, you cannot have generally a rigid packaging that much because of its strength and all these things. And also, it is not having that kind of flexibility. You cannot put it inside a mold, okay, to create any package form. So in terms of versatility, plastic is having very high degree of versatility. Okay, what is the next point? Yeah, it is inexpensive. It is inexpensive. Why it is inexpensive? Because it's not a natural product. It's a synthetic product, or it is a synthesized product that you can create in lab. You don't have to depend on any kind of natural resources for this particular material. So according to your need, you can create it. Okay. At the same point of time, I will say that it is extensible. Extensible means that you can actually put different chemicals together to make a polymer or a plastic. Okay, so that is the important thing. So according to your requirements, say for example, nowadays you will see that there are few types of packaging application or some other applications also. You will see that the sensors are actually within the material itself. The material is itself is a sensor. Means many of you might have heard something called PVD or PVDF, this kind of things. So these are basically the plastics which is having a sensing property. Now if you want to bring a sensing property, then you can use those sensing materials. You can impregnate your plastic with those kind of materials according to your requirement. For a natural product, say for example glass or maybe your metals or maybe papers, it is not that easy. We can do that, we can make sensitive papers also, but it is not that easy like plastics. Okay, so that is one of the important thing, and that's why we can call it, it's very extensible. You can extend it. It's not that it has been formed like this, so it should remain like this. Say for example polyethylene, or like one which is very commonly used, okay, that is uh, polyethylene or PP. So for example, BOPP, then OPP. You have so many versions, because according to your requirement, you can change the composition and you can get your desired result. Okay, you can actually bring the different characteristics. So that is why we can call that plastic is a very extensible material. Okay, yeah. What is next? No, this point I have a reservation. I'm not very much agreed to you. No, plastic is having another problem. Means you can say it is secured, but plastic is generally a very sensitive material. It can react with the product inside, which paper may not. Or you will see that in your chemical labs, if you can remember that in your chemistry labs and most of the sensitive chemicals, we generally prefer to use glass instead of plastic. The reason is glass is very rigid. It is not that much reactive, but plastic is a very reactive and sensitive material. We may not find it that importantly. So for example, you will see that colored plastic below a particular micron level, say 50 micron or 40 micron level, is generally prohibited for using in the food grade material. Why? Because like for long term, the plastic, what happens, it keep on decomposing also. It is not that it is formed like that and it will remain like that for a very long time. It keep on decomposed. Okay, and due to this decomposition, what happens? Many of the unwanted materials keep on adding to your actual product. Okay, you may also find, say for example, if you keep a fruit in a plastic bag for a very long time, you will see that there is a particular smell comes out and all these things happen. Okay. Why it happens? Because plastic actually causes a bit of migration from the inside material to the product that you are going to use or consume. So that is why plastic may be extensible, it can protect, but due to its sensitivity, due to its reactiveness, it can also harm the product inside it. So I'm not very much agreed to your point. Okay. Rather, this sensitivity, reactivity you can put as one of the disadvantages, that if you have very sensitive material, say you have very acidic or alkaline material, then it is not generally advised to put inside a plastic container. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, durable you can say, may not be all the type of plastic, but mostly if it is a hard plastic, then it is. Say for example, the water bottles. You can keep the water bottles for a very long time, but at the same point of time, you will see you have been asked that don't use it for a very long time. Why? Because the plastic bottles which are generally made of PP or that HTP kind of things that keep on react with the product inside it, and they keep on adding some of the chemical components inside the product that you are going to consume, and that can cause different health hazards. The hormonal problems can have happen, the digestive problem can happen, so this can happen actually. Okay, so durable you can say, but say for example you are going to pack sand or cement, or some other kind of material, or talc, or something which is not you are going to consume, or maybe you have some wooden product, say you have a wooden box and that you want to cover with plastic, so in that case it is not going to make any problem. So durable point can be taken as an advantage, but whenever it comes in terms of keeping the product intact, if it is especially if it is a food grade product, or it is a medicinal product which is going to be consumed, then plastic cannot be given a very high score in terms of the in terms of the quality preservation. If it is not a treated plastic, we have different treatments though, that because plastic is sensitive. Okay, but durable point you can put in advantage. Yeah. What next? Hello.
So plastic is not biodegradable. Can we say it in disadvantage?
Yeah. Obviously it is one of the most important thing. It is not biodegradable, and the impact is impact is like it is having lots of disposal issues, like where can we dump the used plastic, like nowadays from an environmental point of view, disposal of plastics, used plastics is becoming a very major thing. Okay, it is actually earlier it was used for landfilling and all these things, but nowadays we are simply dumping in the oceans and all these things, which is causing a lot of problems. We all know that. So that is a big disadvantage of plastic, that plastic is not biodegradable. Okay, next. Okay, one big advantage is that it is non-porous. That is why in that way it gives a good moisture barrier. Plastic is, as you know, that plastic is generally a non-porous material. It does not have any pores like paper. So that is why if you have to pack anything which is having, which like liquid, means which can spill out from the small pores, or which can come out from the small pores, in those cases plastic is very useful, and it is having very good moisture resistance. Okay. So for Yeah. One sec. Please tell once again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Obviously, recycled, and it can be reused also in many of the cases. Okay, it can be recycled, and reused. Not in all cases, but in there are cases where it can be reused. For example, if you see the big water containers, okay, which we normally buy, that 20 liter, 25 liters jars. Once you use that, with your vendor takes it back and they refill it and they use it again. So it can be reused also, and it can be recycled also. Although it's not that all the plastics can be recycled. Okay, but there mostly the plastics can be recycled. Okay, so that's obviously an advantage. Next, any other advantages? Okay, one important advantage is it is lightweight. Like it is not very heavy in general. So that is why your product weight is not going to increase much if you are using plastic as your packaging material. Now we have a couple of advantages. Now let us come to disadvantages. So two already we have mentioned. Any other disadvantages? That it is sensitive, reactive, not biodegradable. Anything else? Yeah, it can cause health problems if it is not a food grade plastic. And another important point is it is inflammable, so you can have a lot of inventory issue. If you want to keep a big inventory, then this inflammable point can cause a lot of problems. You have to be very cautious. Okay, another advantage we must write that it is plastic is printable. Okay, you have different techniques nowadays, and you have many of the conventional techniques also, like which can print plastics. Okay, so for example, you can have flexo, you can have gravure. So this kind of techniques, by using such techniques, you can print plastics quite easily. Okay, so any other important disadvantages of plastic? Okay. So if you find any more, you can keep on adding. So if you see the notes, I have already said about the different thermoplastics. Those are used for packaging. Now, apart from thermoplastics, there is another one which is called thermosets. Now, if you take any, plastic bottles kind of thing, then you will see that the body of the bottle and the cap or the closure of the bottle may not be made out of the same thing. Okay. For example, I can show you one. Okay. Again, I am showing the same thing. If you see that the body part of a container is much soft one, okay, you can just simply press it. Okay. But if you take this part, this uh, cap part, the closer part, the push button kind of thing over there, okay, this thing is not made of the same soft plastic. Okay, this is much harder. You can see, you can, if you press it, you can understand that it is not as soft as the body of it. Okay, so that is why, like, the bottles and most of the plastic containers, they are generally having two grades of plastic. Generally, I'm not saying always, generally. Okay. So these type of plastics by which we normally make the caps and all, the closures and a bit harder one, and that is not as flexible as those things. The other things, the other plastics which are called thermoplastics, those are called thermosets. Okay, and the use of thermosets are majorly in the making of the closures, and you can also find it where you need a bit of hard grade of plastics. Okay, and it is also sometimes not that flexible, like, thermoplastics, and thermosets are normally not used for film making. It is generally used for making the rigid shapes using the molds. Okay, so there are different thermosets. Okay, for example, few are very commonly used. One is called, okay, urea formaldehyde. Then you can have, you know um, you can have glass fiber reinforced urea formaldehyde. Okay, so these are some of the ones. uh, yeah, then you can have glass fiber reinforced formaldehyde. Okay. So these two are very commonly, once again, close this window. This urea formaldehyde and all, they are basically used to make the closures, and you can also find their usage in some of the beauty products. In some of the beauty products, you will see the plastic is very glossy and very, it is having a very shiny appearance, and it is a very white kind of plastics. Okay, some of the packaging applications are there. I don't have anything with me right now. Okay, one second. This one, yeah, this one. Yeah. And some of the medicinal also you can find. Yeah, this is one example of urea formaldehyde, that I was telling. Okay, this is this kind of some medicinal packaging. You will see that because this kind of packaging, say this particular medicine is taken for breathing problem. Now, this should be very well protected from moisture, and that is why this hard grade, you see, like if I'm pressing this also, it is not actually deforming like this one. This is a very soft one. You can just easily press it, but this one you cannot do. Okay. And in this case, the closure and the body is made of the same thing. We don't have different materials for them. It is the same material which is being used. Okay. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
Okay. So, likewise, means now how can you find now, since plastic is having lot of disadvantages, especially in case of food products, it is always it is a regulatory thing. It is a mandate that whenever someone is using plastic as packaging material, they must inform the buyers that what plastic has been used in it. Okay. Have you ever found it? Whatever plastic container you buy, you can find out which plastic it is made of. Have you found it? You have bought so many things. Have you noticed it? Any of you? A plastic packaging always tells you what it is made of. Especially if it is food, then it is obviously written. Have any one of you found it or tried to find it? Hello? Yeah. Have you found it anytime or have you noticed it? It is a mandate that what is written? Yeah. So inside the, yeah, correct. In the, very well said. So in the recycled symbol, he might be having a symbol like this, something like this, not exactly maybe, but something like this will be there, a triangle kind of symbol, right? And there are the arrows, yeah. And inside that one is written, right? And this is called the plastic number. Plastic number. And it is a mandate that we must mention it, especially for the rigid products, because flexible products, there are two or three only plastics which are commonly used, but otherwise, especially if it is for a food grade product, this is a mandate. We have to tell this thing. Okay. Now, as he already told, one second, as he already told that PET. Okay, PET stands for it is taken as number one. Okay, because PET is one of the most commonly used plastic in rigid packaging. In case of making bottles and all, PET is one of the most commonly used one. Okay, similarly for HTP, LTP also. Okay, HTP, I think it is having a number of two. Then PP, polypropylene, is having a number of five. So likewise, you can just check out that what is the plastic number, and you can find out that which plastic is being used to pack this particular thing. And sometimes you will see that it is not clearly written. It is given a number 7 over there, and 7 is basically, and it is called others. That means it is none of those standard thing. It may be a composed one. That means plastic that might have been mixed with some paper fiber or glass fiber to give a particular property to it. It is very often seen, if you see nowadays some cake, this slice cakes and all thing comes, and you will see the packet is having a paper kind of appearance, but it is not a paper. It is a plastic, but it is having a paper kind of appearance as well as feel. If you touch it, you can feel like it does not feel like plastic much. It more, appears like the paper. It is having that fibrous kind of appearance. Have you seen that anytime? Especially, I have seen this is used for this, this cupcakes, this slice cakes kind of things. You might have seen. I think so. Have any of you noticed it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there, if you see, you may find that it is not written any plastic number from 1 to 6, but it is 7, because it is not any of this PET, HTP, polypropylene, or like BOPP or any other kind of thing. It is a different material which has been composed, or which has been made by mixing the paper fibers with plastic. So that is why it has been given the number 7, which is others. Okay. Now, can you tell me one thing? How this number get printed on the paper? First of all, is it at all printing? It is a part of printing, but will you say it is printed? If you see if you take a water bottle, say a Bisleri or Kinley bottle, at the bottom you will see what Nishant said very correctly. That at the bottom you will see that there is three arrows like a triangle formation, which mention that it is for recyclable plastic, and one is written. Now, how is this put at the bottom of the plastic bottle? What that process is called? I'm not going in detail of it. I'm just asking whether you know it or not. Because being printing engineers, you should know this. What it is called? Is it called printing? No, it is done by molding, but it is not molding. Okay, it has two different names in general. In one case, it is called embossing, and another case, it is also called heat stamping. That means it is a kind of stamp which is put by means of heat. Okay. Okay. Another advantage you have to add in the plastic nature. We forgot to add that. That is, plastic is one of the material, or maybe the most common material, that is having the degree of heat sealability. It is the biggest advantage of plastic. That plastic is heat sealable. Okay, if you put the two ends, তোমরা হয়তো দেখেছো many of the times in the small groceries, that they may take out some amount, give it to you, and again they will put in a candle flame and they will seal the ওপেনিং। দেখেছো না এরকম করতে? বা আমরাও অনেক সময় বাড়িতে থেকে একটু বার করে আবার ওটাকে একটুখানি গলিয়ে সিল করে দিই আমরা, তাই তো? এই যে হিট সিলেবিলিটি, এইটা কিন্তু ওয়ান অফ দ্য মোস্ট ইম্পর্টেন্ট অ্যাডভান্টেজ অফ প্লাস্টিক, যেটা কিন্তু অন্য কোনো কিছুতে নেই। পেপারে নেই, মেটালে নেই, গ্লাসে তো নেই, উডও নেই। ঠিক আছে? সো দ্যাট ইজ ওয়ান অফ দ্য বিগেস্ট অ্যাডভান্টেজ অফ প্লাস্টিক। বাট দিস ক্যান হ্যাপেন অনলি ইফ ইউ আর ইউজিং থার্মোপ্লাস্টিক্স। থার্মোসেটস ইউ ক্যানট ডু দ্যাট। তোমরা একটু দেখতে পারো বাড়িতে কোনো সময় একটা, if you have some waste water bottle, if you burn the cap of it, you will see it is not actually melting like the same way the thermoplastics do. Okay, you will see that it is becoming very black and it is taking a granular shape, because in thermosets, when it is burnt, it cannot extend, or it cannot regain its actual structure. The chemical structure gets broken, and that is why thermosets are not recyclable. Thermoplastics are recyclable. Okay, এই জন্য যে ক্যাপগুলো হয়, those caps of the bottles are collected again. If you have seen earlier, যখন আমাদের বাড়িতে ওই শিশি বোতল আসতো, তোমরা দেখেছো তো ভাঙা শিশি বোতল নিতে আসে, প্লাস্টিক বটলস কুড়ায় যে রাস্তাতে, I think you have seen that, right?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. You will see that they are not taking the entire bottle together. They are taking the caps other side, means in they are keeping the caps separately from the bottles. Okay, because those caps will not go for recycling. They will be reused, but the bottle will go to recycling. বুঝতে পারছো কথাটা?
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
Hmm. And another important thing is means if you see a plastic bottle is having a label, how many times you see a paper label on a plastic bottles? Or mostly you will see the plastic bottles are having plastic labels only. 1 minute, I'm just bringing one example so that. Okay, somehow my camera is not getting on. I don't know why. Okay. Anyway, what I was asking that if you see a plastic bottle, most of the times what you see, it is having a paper label or a plastic label. Hello, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm asking if you think of a water bottle or a plastic bottle, most of the times what you see, it is having a plastic printed label or a paper printed label.
Plastic, sir.
Why?
And also, the labeling is done for the naming of the product and the brand, for showing which brand it belongs to. And for the paper, in rain or in water, it gets destroyed.
This is a much pertinent thing. This is much closer because like most of these water bottles and all, they will be refrigerated. So in case also like it has been protected from rain and all these things, it means generally this get refrigerated. So if it is paper, and as you know that paper is not a good resistance to water and moisture, then the label can get spoiled. Okay, but anyway, that also can be helped if you have a laminated label or if you have a treated label paper. That can be also done. There is another reason which is more important. Any idea? Any idea? Okay. Another main reason is, like, as you know, that this paper bottle is going to be recycled. Okay. Now, when it is getting recycled, if some other material comes into that recycling process, then it can cause lot of harms, because your entire machineries can get damaged, or it may get stopped. The entire production can get stopped. In this case, if it is a plastic label, then also it will create a problem composition wise. But say for example, if you are having such huge stock for recycling, and one plastic label comes in, because since it is also a polymer and almost having the same kind of properties, then it is not going to create that much harm. But if it is paper, then the paper will is having a totally different chemical composition and characteristics. So that can cause much bigger problem in the recycling process. Whenever it is recycled, generally the labels are taken off and it is put for recycling. But by chance, if any label is not taken off properly and it goes inside the recycling process, then if it is paper, then the possibility of damage is much higher. Okay, instead of plastic. That is why it is generally advised that using of plastic labels with the plastic bottles. The otherwise also happens, it's not that it does not happen, but mostly if the bottle is going to be recycled, then it is generally preferred to have a plastic um, you know label instead of a paper label. Are you getting my point? Okay. Last thing for the day, just a very common thing for you, that there are different symbols you find in a plastic packaging. So what are those symbols? Let me just quickly tell. Uh, First of all, as you already know, that you may get a symbol like this. What Nishant has already told, that you may get a symbol like this. Stands for, this is for recycling. Okay, this is a recyclable plastic. Sometimes you will see a symbol like this. What does it mean?
So something related to heat.
Something, yeah, obviously. Yes. That means you can put this one in the micro oven. Okay, that is because this plastic is having a high degree of heat resistance. Generally, if it is made of polypropylene, then it is it can be directly put inside the micro oven. Okay. So likewise, I am giving you, or sometimes you will see that in some plastics you get a green symbols. What does it mean? Any idea what is meant? It indicates that it is a food grade plastic. That means this plastic you can use directly in contact with the food. This food can be wrapped. Say for example, if you see the burgers, the hot dogs that you normally buy from different confectionaries, the wrapping plastic should be a food grade plastic. Okay. In some
So and
cases you will,
also this so and
for
also this are made of different colors like red, green I have observed.
red is there, yeah. Red is there. Red
So
means it
green
is,
is also.
both are there. Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
both are there. That means red and green both are in the single package you have seen.
No, sir, different, different.
Yeah, so red means it is not a food grade one. Okay. So for example, if you buy something for baby toys and all these things, in the wrapping case, they clearly write that this is not a toy and you keep it away from the babies because this plastic is not safe for them. Okay. So this kind of, you see, it is also sometimes used to denote the food also. Say for example, this is generally denoted that if it is a veg one, okay, and this is also denoted it is a non-veg one, okay. But in case if it is not a food product and these symbols are there, then you have to understand this. Say in the food way, you can also might be getting a brown one, which generally tells that it is having chocolate thing over there. Okay, so these are few of the very important packaging symbols. I will give you a list though, but just these are very common things, but you should know it properly so that you can interpret the package. Okay, that's all for the day, and that's all about the packaging plastics. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can ask me, else we'll stop the class.